Welcome to IVF This, episode 27, me as your one-on-one coach. Welcome to IVF This. I'm your host, Emily Ginn. I'm a mother to two beautiful and feral boys. I'm married to my favorite person in the world. I'm a social worker, a life coach, and an IVF warrior. I'm here to teach you how to manage your mind and emotions during your IVF journey, to break free from anxiety and regain control of your life, even in the midst of infertility. I'm going to teach you to say IVF this to how we think about, talk about, and experience infertility. Let's go. Hello, my friends. How are you doing today? I'm doing very well. I'm working my way through my stim cycle, and it's still pretty early, so I'm still feeling kind of good. And I know the bloating and the grapefruit ovary is coming, so I'm just riding this wave for as long as possible. It's been a few weeks since I talked about Clubhouse, so I wanted to remind you all that I am on Clubhouse. If you don't know what Clubhouse is, it's an audio-only app where you can drop into rooms, that's what they call them, and listen to a variety of different conversations. There is a big infertility presence that is going on in Clubhouse, and a lot of amazing coaches and advocates and just conversations around infertility. I happen to host a room every Monday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Right now, Clubhouse is only available to Apple users, but Android fans, your time is coming. So if you have any Apple products like an iPhone or an iPad, you can join Clubhouse. It is by invite only, so if you need an invite, just send me a DM on Instagram and I can hook you up. I'm on Instagram and Clubhouse and my username is IVF This Coaching. Today is a super fun day because it's not really a concept that I'm breaking down, but rather me talking to you about my one-on-one coaching program. I get a lot of questions about how it works and who is it for, and coaching in and around infertility and IVF is still kind of an unknown to a lot of people. Because for a long time, these topics have been kind of relegated to counseling and therapy. So most people don't know that this service is available. I will say that I am one of many infertility and IVF coaches. There are so many of us out here, right? There are amazing coaches that I am friends with or follow on Instagram, and they are out there helping people every day. So there's no turf war here. I know that I am not for everyone. I know that I can't help everyone just by virtue of being one person. So if you're on Instagram and you can just search fertility or infertility coach, IVF coach, and a ton of people will pop up. So if you're curious about the difference between coaching and counseling, I break that down in episode 10 of this podcast. And it's by no means an exhaustive breakdown because I try to keep these suckers to no more than 30-ish minutes. But I think it provides a great overview should you have any questions. So a little bit about my particular coaching program. My coaching program is called IVF This, because obviously, right? It's a 3-month program. I do 13 weeks because we coach once a week over Zoom for 12 weeks, and then we have a wrap-up call. Each part of the experience is designed to move toward acceptance. Now, there's a lot of pain around our infertility experience, and a lot of it lies in resistance. The fact that we're on this journey, the fact that we have to even have these conversations, the fact that we have to go to doctors, right? We all just want to have sex and get pregnant, like how we're told it should go, right? So a lot of this is coming to a place of acceptance. It's about rewiring our ingrained thought processes. So over the course of 12 weeks, we break down a lot of the BS in your brain. So I'm going to give you an overview of the 3 months, and then at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to work with me specifically. So the first month is all about awareness. You've probably heard me say that we can't fix what we can't see. So creating a lot of awareness around our thinking, around our resistance, our tendency to avoid or resist emotions, and our unconscious belief systems is a huge part of my work. We really want to get you to the point where you can see your thoughts for what they are, sentences or pictures in your brain. and also for you to see them for what they're not, which is automatically truth. So many of us walk around with this belief that if we think it, it's true, and we don't question what it is we're thinking and why. We also talk about things like stories versus facts. This is a really important part of awareness, but we rarely think to ask ourselves, okay, what are the facts of this? So facts are things that everyone would agree upon, right? It's the 2 + 2 = 4. It's the I had a doctor's appointment today and the doctor said words. It's I had a discussion with my partner last night and they said words, right? The story is all of the drama that we add to the facts, the mustard on top. I came from a theater background, so my theater teacher would always say, just put some mustard on it. And that would be to like ratchet up the drama, right? It's the, I had a doctor's appointment today and she said that my lining looks like this. And she said, that's good. But then I asked people about it in my Facebook group and people with that lining didn't have successful implantation. So that means that I won't have successful implantation, right? That's a story. Or my partner and I had a fight last night and he said that I was too emotional and he just doesn't understand how hard this is for me and he just wants me to snap out of it, right? That is the story. The facts are usually, almost always, pretty boring, which is why our brains are so good at ratcheting up the drama. But the drama, typically, I won't say always, but damn near always, creates pain and suffering for us. So we get really good at figuring out what is the story and what is the facts. We break down what thoughts are, which I've talked a lot about on this podcast, but also what does our thinking create for us? To give you an example, many of us have had the thought or have the thought, this shouldn't be happening, or I shouldn't have to do this, or it's so easy for other people to get pregnant. Why not me? I'll talk about the shoulds a little bit more in an upcoming episode, but essentially when we think things in that vein, we might feel anger, frustration, or resentment. When we feel anger, frustration, or resentment, whatever that prevailing emotion is with the thought, then we might lash out at the people we love. We might ruminate or stew or dwell in that anger. You may try to disconnect or numb yourself, right? Through social media, alcohol, eating, whatever. Maybe you find blame in yourself or your partner. Maybe you ruminate about all the other people getting pregnant, quote unquote, easily, which means that what happens in that moment is that you are creating and building more anger, frustration, or resentment. When we fixate on things, we're basically giving our brain a directive to go out and find evidence of the injustice in what you are thinking, or to find evidence of things to blame yourself on or someone else, or to find fault somewhere, or to perpetuate this cycle of victimhood that feels so terrible. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't a normal thought process. Not at all. In fact, if you lined up 100 women experiencing infertility, they would probably completely agree with you, or at least admit that they have had similar thoughts. But my question is, what is that thought bringing to your life? How is it serving you? How is it not serving you? Now, when I ask people, how is it serving you? I know the knee-jerk reaction is to say it's not, but that's not entirely true either. Because in that cycle, our brains love to get caught up in thought loops because it's so unconscious that our brain doesn't have to do anything new. So it does serve you in some ways by keeping you locked into the same thought patterns. But it does not serve maybe the overall goal of you not feeling like crap, right? Probably not. I don't know how many of us actively pursue feeling like crap. It's typically only because we don't know that there's a different way to think and feel. We also look at how to ask the right questions. Our brains are these amazing supercomputers. And with things like computers, you have to give it the right command to get out of it what you're wanting, to get what you're looking for. The same thing goes with your brains. You have to give your brain the right command, the right directive for what you're wanting. It's just that most of us don't know what type of directive to give it. We don't know how to ask ourselves the right questions. We don't know how to give our brain the right direction. Our brain wants to answer questions. It's the thing that our brain is best at. Our brain wants to collect information. But when we ask it things like, what am I supposed to do next? Or I don't know what to do. Or what if this is how my life is always going to be? What if I'll never have children? Does that mean I will never be happy? These are things that most of us have asked ourselves, right? I know I have and sometimes still do. When you give your brain that kind of direction, it's going to get to work collecting evidence to support the underlying belief that you don't know what you really want. You don't know how you will ever be happy, that your life will always be how you feel it is right now. When you ask yourself those types of questions, your brain is looking for what the underlying belief you have about yourself or your life to support that thought. And that's why I've talked about curiosity before, because when you ask yourself, will I ever be happy? Or will I always feel this anxious? Those questions presuppose a few things. One, that there's only one way for you to feel. Two, that anxiety is something bad and should be avoided. And three, that a baby will bring an end to the anxiety and would create happiness. Check out my episode, A Baby Won't Solve for more info on that. It's also heavily layered in judgment. Judgment about yourself, judgment about your current life, about your future that you may or may not have, and what that would look like. That whatever is in your future is way better than what you have right now, which only decimates your motivation to do any work to improve the here and now. Curiosity slips away some of that judgment. A different question might be, how can I manage my anxiety in this moment? Reminding yourself, I have navigated anxiety before. I know that I can open up to it and experience it, and it won't kill me. Doesn't mean that something's gone wrong just because I'm experiencing anxiety. What are ways I can connect with my partner instead of, will we always fight about this? A question like, how can I enjoy my life right now? One of my favorite questions to ask myself is, how can I love myself through this right now? Now, we're not blowing sunshine and daisies out of our asses here. That's not what this is about. This is just about tweaking the question, like a brain hack, bypassing the built-in negativity bias so we can get our brains moving into something that will be more productive, helpful, and likely serve you, instead of relying on our old BS thought patterns and belief systems. We will talk a lot about trauma. Trauma is something that I think is one of the most under-acknowledged and under-discussed aspects of infertility. There's so many aspects of trauma that we don't talk about, recognize, or acknowledge, so it is very interwoven throughout my process. We'll spend time demystifying the aspects of trauma and helping you make sense of what is happening in your brain that trauma is influencing. Now, in the second month, we get to work on emotional balance. This is something that comes up literally for every single person I talk to, right? A lot of us feel like we're at the mercy of our feelings. We literally spend an entire month talking about feelings. I'll spare you singing a song about feelings, but you guys know I love my feelings. You guys know that I think feelings are kind of the key to success, right? Once we are able to acknowledge, allow, and process our feelings, we're unstoppable. Now, I define feelings as a vibration in your body. They can't hurt you. They're not dangerous. They can't kill you, even if it might feel that way. Now, I've been in the throes of some pretty intense grief, and it does feel like it could kill you, but it really can't. A big part of emotional balance is knowing that you can handle any emotion that comes your way. So many of us tell ourselves that we don't know how we would handle something if it should come to pass. We don't think we handle things well or that we handle them at all, as if emotions are something to be handled. But emotions aren't. They're something to experience. We can manage those things, but we have to build up enough belief within ourselves that we can. And the way we do that is by feeling them. We have to pull back the curtain on the feelings that we avoid, the feelings we resist. Let me give you an example. I've mentioned on the podcast that we are going through our second round of IVF. This go round, I don't have much fear or as much fear as I did the first time. I mean, I'm human, so it's definitely still there, but it's not freezing me in the way that it has in the past. I don't have rose-colored glasses on. I am very realistic about our probabilities. But I know whatever happens, I know how to take care of me. I know how to have my own back. I don't have to judge my feelings or kick the crap out of myself or blame myself or someone else, any of the stuff that I've done in the past. I know that I can sit with fear or grief and it will pass through me. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck, because it totally does. It doesn't mean that I enjoy it or anything like that. It still hurts. It's still painful. But I know that I can do it, right? And I know that I can handle it if and when that time comes. And I'll teach you how to process your feelings. We can talk about feelings all day long and I will help you understand them, but unless you actually learn how to process them, it's just an intellectual exercise. And I want it to be so much more than that, because these are skills you will learn and use for the rest of your life. Now, a little tangent. I truly believe that the gift of coaching isn't just specific to that moment, right? To that time together, to the 1 hour per week for 13 weeks. I don't believe you're paying me for coaching you for 13 hours. I believe in my bones, you are paying me for a transformation and tools that you get to use forever, long after you're seeking fertility treatments, into motherhood, if you decide to stop treatments and rebuild your life, as a partner, as a member of society, in your career, as a friend, as a sibling, as a child, everything. The tools I teach you and the methods I use really transcend throughout your entire life. And processing feelings is a cornerstone of that transformation. The next step is for you allowing your emotions to be there. We resist our emotions because we don't think that we can handle them, right? Well, when you learn how to process them, then you know how to quote unquote handle them. The next step is to allow them to be there. Whatever you're feeling in that moment, that you're feeling it. And the final step towards emotional balance is taking responsibility for your thoughts and feelings. So this is probably one of my favorite things to teach because it's so huge. Conventional wisdom tells us that people and situations create our pain, create our frustration, create our anger, create everything. Someone said something and it hurt your feelings, right? How many of us have heard that time and time again? How many of us have said that time and time again? But if you've listened to me for any amount of time, you probably know what I'm going to say. You are in charge of that shit. If you're new to this podcast, check out the episode entitled Managing Opinions, because I go into detail about why that's not true. People cannot create emotions for us. I know we think they can. And I know that that is reinforced time and time again, but it's not true. What happens is someone says or does something, and you make that mean something. It's in the what are you making it mean where the pain lives, where the feelings reside. When we give people credit for creating feelings for us, we're also handing it over to them. Our emotional well-being, basically saying, okay, you're in charge of how I think and feel, not me. And that is called emotional childhood. So we learn about emotional adulthood. What does it mean to be in charge of and take responsibility for your own thoughts and feelings? Knowing that you are the one creating your own pain, that you are the one creating your own happiness, your own joy, right? It's not just the negative crap too. You create the happy stuff as well. Remember, I tell you guys all the time, infertility is not what creates so much pain for us. It is our thoughts about ourselves and our life in relation to infertility that is so damn painful. So we unpack and identify that. And finally, the last month is all about acceptance. We talk about things like unconditional love, arguing with reality, surrender, and how to move forward. Now, this is just kind of a rough outline of the program, and obviously things come up along the way, but we will cover all of these different points during our 3 months together. And what's more is 3 months isn't just 3 months. People always have things to work on. And I have several of my clients who renew with me for another 3 months and sometimes another 3 months, right? There's a continuous process of evolution and progress and growth and change that occurs over time. So I hope this provides you with a really good idea of what it would be like to work with me. If you're still curious or if you want some firsthand experience, go to my website or my Instagram page. My Instagram is IVFThisCoaching. My website is www.ivfthiscoaching.com and book a mini session. Mini sessions are so fun because it's 30 minutes that are completely dedicated to actual coaching. I'm not selling you on anything. I am just coaching you. You come with something you want to talk to me about, and we coach on it for 30 minutes. Some of the things that we do, a lot of it actually has to do with processing emotions. So many people come and say, I can't stop feeling like this, or I judge myself for this, right? And so we literally kick over all the crap that we can in 30 minutes. We get to work, we coach, and it's just for you, right? So that's one option. The other option is booking a consultation. So the consultation is about an hour long, and this is where we dig deep into what it would be like to work together. We cover all the logistics, and we talk about where you are, and we make a plan for where you want to go. Both calls are super fun. You don't have to have one over the other. You can do whichever one you choose. And I've talked to so many amazing women, and I really hope that I get to talk to you soon too. So that is it for this week. Remember, I adore you and you have got this. Have a great week, my friends. Bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of IVF This. If you like what you've heard, click subscribe and follow to make sure you don't miss an episode. And if you want to learn more, head over to www.ivfthiscoaching.com to learn how to work together.